Hello, and welcome to the Ontario Reformatory Conservation District Study Public Open House number 2. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this presentation, and we'll provide details on how you can have your say at the end.
All right, we're going to start off with a bit of a welcome and agenda, but before we get into that, I'm actually going to pass it to Stephen Robinson from the City of Guelph to give a quick introduction.
As we gather, we're reminded that Guelph is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. As a city, we have a responsibility for the stewardship of the land on which we live and work. Today, we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation of the Anishinaabeg peoples, on whose traditional territory we are meeting.
So before we get into the bulk of the presentation, we just want to give a bit of an introduction to the consultation team as well as the city's project team. Starting with the consultation team, we have Douglas Yon as our project manager, who is the Director of Indigenous Affairs at WSP. You can see that our consultant team is divided into 3 main disciplines: cultural heritage, planning, landscape and design, and public engagement. Joel Conrad is the cultural heritage lead of the cultural heritage discipline, and he's supported by a number of heritage planners and spatial information specialists. Allison Lumby is our design lead. She's supported by a number of urban planners and landscape architects and ecologists. And finally, Sean Bravender is our public engagement coordinator, and he has a team of community engagement planners and Indigenous relations specialists. In terms of the city project team, we have Stephen Robinson as the project manager and senior heritage planner. Melissa Aldanate is the manager of policy planning at the city. Kelly Guthrie and Shelley Reed are both part of the engagement team. Kelly is the community engagement coordinator and Shelley is the strategic communications advisor. And Leslie Munoz is the manager of policy and intergovernmental relations at the city. Before I pass it over to Joel for the bulk of the presentation, we're just going to go over a quick agenda and kind of our objectives for the slideshow. We'll start off with the purpose of a Heritage Conservation District, or HCD, and then we'll talk about the work that we've completed to date as part of the project. The main component of this presentation is going over the proposed boundary and character areas, and we're hoping this will lead to some discussion online after the presentation. We'll then end off with some conclusion and next steps.
Thank you, Erica. So the purpose of a Heritage Conservation District, or HCD, is to provide a planning framework to conserve the cultural heritage value of a collection of properties. These properties must together support a shared cultural heritage value. An HCD is a geographically defined area within a municipality that is noted for its distinct heritage character. It is also a planning tool for recognizing and protecting these areas and managing as well as guiding future change in the district. So what can a Heritage Conservation District provide? It can provide a unique planning framework which respects the identity and history of a place. It can also provide an enhanced quality of life and sense of place that allows a community to recognize and commemorate what they value. It can also provide cultural heritage or cultural and economic vitality, which contributes to the development of a rich physical and cultural environment conducive to a wide variety of economic activities, while also maintaining physical continuity and social cohesion. And finally, an HCD can provide healthy cultural tourism. Designation can both encourage and manage tourism in rural and urban areas. So what is the study area we are looking at for the Ontario Reformatory Heritage Conservation District study? The study area is located in Guelph's East End and includes 785 York Road, as well as 165, 110, and 80 Dunlop Drive. The study area is generally bounded by York Road, Watson Parkway South, Stone Road East, and the Guelph Junction Railway. The study area includes built heritage resources and design landscape features, as well as naturalized areas. The area has existing heritage protection, and the Ontario Reformatory property itself is both municipally and provincially protected. The Ontario Reformatory property is currently designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. This protects physical elements of the property, including, but not limited to, interconnected historical buildings, circulation patterns on the property, ornamental grounds, the machine shop building, and the greenhouse. This map provides a quick glance at some of the key features of the area, such as the administrative building, Matthews Farmhouse, and quarry. When considering future planning versus heritage value, it's important to distinguish how discrete policy tools help to provide protection. An HCD can describe heritage value, identify physical heritage attributes that express that value, and provide targeted policies to ensure those physical attributes are maintained. However, an HCD does not make recommendations related to a specific development. Instead, an HCD conserves cultural heritage value. The GID Secondary Plan does the following to guide future development in the area: sets out policies for the Guelph Innovation District, establishes a detailed planning framework consisting of a vision, principles, and objectives and policies, as well as schedules, to guide and regulate future development of the GID planning area. The GID will serve predominantly as the home of innovative, sustainable employment uses. We will now turn to the work completed to date on the Ontario Reformatory HCD project. The scope of work completed to date includes a policy review, historical research, phase 1 of engagement, a field review, character analysis, preliminary cultural heritage evaluation, and an outline of the preliminary boundary. Data collection for the study phase helps to first evaluate the study area and determine the cultural heritage value or interest within the study boundary, and also helps to outline a proposed boundary. Data collection will also help to identify heritage value using the following criteria: historical association, architecture, vernacular design, integrity, architectural details, landmark status, or group value. The evaluation process for an HCD is outlined in the Ontario Heritage Toolkit, and expectations of the nature of an HCD is described as follows. An HCD will usually involve an aggregate of buildings, streets, and open spaces that, as a group, is a collective asset to the community. With a rural HCD, the focus will more likely be on the concentration or continuity of landscape components and how these are united and/or modified by human use and past events. Once the value of the area has been established, a delineation process is initiated to understand what areas should be included and which areas are not physical attributes supporting the cultural heritage character of the area. District boundaries are usually determined using historic factors, visual factors, physical features, and legal or planning factors. This slide helps to convey the factors that contribute to the value of an HCD. These factors can include visual perceptions such as distinct architecture, design, scale, style, layout, setting, materials, workmanship, association, marked change in building character, distinct changes in topography, physical situations such as railroads and major highways, streets, public utilities and rights-of-way, rivers, shorelines, ravines, and other natural features, historical evolution, such as boundaries of an original settlement or early planned settlement, concentration of early buildings and sites, paper lines, and other factors, such as property lines, setbacks, land use zones, and boundaries of legal jurisdiction. The potential proposed Heritage Conservation District boundary is presented here in green hatching with a black border. Note that it is reduced from the original study area boundary to exclude areas that do not support the cultural heritage value of the potential Ontario Reformatory HCD. To help understand and refine the boundary, WSP has defined 6 heritage character areas. Character Area A comprises the entry landscape, extending from York Road south along the main entry drive, bounded by the stone wall that follows the north of the drive, and encompasses the low-lying lands, including the large ponds to the south of the drive. Character Area B comprises the main reformatory buildings, including administration, tower, and main corridor, cells, and dormitory. as well as associated public landscape grounds, including the Ontario Board of Parole Office and walled gardens, terminus of the entry drive, the car park, and the surrounding open tree parkland landscape up to the bounded by the fence line of the secure operations area. Character Area C comprises the core of the reformatory within the secure perimeter, including a range of industrial buildings and working landscapes. The operations landscape is organized into a series of enclosed courtyards and fields with a range of paved circulation routes and building aprons. The landscape is separated out through a combination of building and fence enclosures. Character Area D includes the greenhouses and farming facilities within the secure perimeter, sited to the north of Character Area C. This area comprised the aspects of working farm buildings and fields. Character Area E comprises the open fields, wetlands, waterways, and treed slopes and road embankments along York Road. The area also includes the historic Matthews farmhouse and shed, and remnant stone gates with stone fences. Character Area F extends to the southwest of the study area, from the southwestern shore of the South Pond along the Aramosa River, incorporating the railway and 3 quarry sites, informally known as the Rocks, south to the Stone Road east, and including the former Stone Road concrete bowstring arch bridge south of Stone Road.
Thanks, Joel. Now that we've gone through the proposed boundary and the character areas, we're hoping to encourage a bit of discussion and feedback from the community. Obviously, understanding this isn't a live event and we can't do that on the spot, but we would like to outline the type of input we're looking for and hope that people will take that away and consider any feedback that they might have. There will be an opportunity to provide your comments on the project website, so we will outline how to do that as well shortly. In terms of the input we're looking for, we've categorized it into 3 main questions. So the first question is, does the proposed boundary represent an interconnected place with cultural meaning? Why or why not? The second question is, do the heritage character areas represent distinct places within the broader boundary? If so, why? If not, why not? And finally, do you feel that all important cultural heritage features have been included in the boundary? If so, why? If not, why not? So with these questions, we're really hoping to understand, are we missing anything? Did we cover all of the pieces that you'd like to see included? And really your overall thoughts about the proposed boundary and these character areas. In terms of additional opportunities to provide input, as I mentioned, we would like to encourage everyone to add their comments to the project website. You can see a link to the Have Your Say page or the project website at the bottom of this slide. Again, we would really like to understand your thoughts on the proposed HCD boundary. We want to know if we missed anything, and we want to know if the boundary demonstrates an interconnected place with cultural meaning to you. Additional opportunities and opportunities to continue participating. Again, we'd like to encourage everyone to subscribe to the Have Your Say project page if they haven't done so already. This will ensure you receive updates about the project and you're always up to date on ways you can stay involved. And we'd also like to encourage anyone to reach out to a member of the project team if you have any specific questions, comments, concerns, and we will provide contact information at the end of this presentation.
We'll now turn to the next steps in the process. The project team will continue with Indigenous Nation engagement and will also meet with community and land order groups. This and your participation will be included in the reporting for the Heritage Conservation District study phase. And we'd like to thank you for taking an interest in the Ontario Reformatory HCD process. Please reach out to Stephen Robinson with any additional questions or comments you might have.